Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Adventure Paradox podcast. I am so excited about the guest I have here with me today. Not only is she also in the Intermountain West, and we'll talk about that, we have worked together professionally. This gal is an absolute boss. If you are an entrepreneur, you are definitely going to identify with a lot of what she has to offer, a lot of what she has to share. I can't wait to unpack her origin story. But if you are a mom who is thinking about doing something else, I think you'll also really resonate with this conversation today. Nicole, I'll give you a formal introduction in just a minute. But first of all, where in the world are you coming from and how are you today?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm doing so great. I am out in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado. So out in the Mountain West.
That's my girl. All right. So, if you
Yeah.
don't know, Nicole Magelssen is the founder and CEO of Alpine Virtual, a company that has saved leaders, including myself, over 100,000 hours by pairing CEOs and businesses with exceptional US-based virtual executive assistants. Nicole was named the most influential CEO of Denver in 2023. Like, hats off to you, girl. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
And received an award for People First Leadership in 2025. Okay, yeah, I have a follow-up question about that. Nicole is also a wife, a mom to two young boys, and a lover of the great outdoors. When she's not busy running her business, she enjoys hiking, camping, coffee tasting, baking, and spending time with her family. Let's back it up a little bit. Tell me about this award, this People First Leadership. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think it is actually coming out in December. They just announced it. Um, They just announced it this fall. So it's very new. I'm very proud of it because that is really why I started Alpine in the first place. I wanted it to feel generous and people-centered, both client-wise and for the internal team. I wanted everything we do to revolve around people. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. And
Thank
having
you.
worked with you, I can say I can't think of a better person
Oh,
to
thank
have
you.
this. Tell us a little bit more about your origin story. How did
Yeah.
Alpine Virtual come into being?
Yeah, it was a complete accident, to be honest. So I was a virtual assistant and I started Alpine Virtual in 2019. It really was supposed to be this little side hustle that I did. I had another part-time job and it was just, I had that safe part-time job. And then I had my little business I was doing just for some extra money with some clients. And in 2020, I and a lot of the world got laid off from my safe part-time job and had to figure out a way to make more money. I was 38 weeks pregnant. I had my son a few days after I was laid off. Like I was laid off on a Thursday, I had him on a Monday.
Oh,
And I took some time, obviously, after having my son to just be with my family. And then I was like, well, I still need to make money. So I started putting my heart and my soul into Alpine, but still with the thought, I will just get a few clients and get it to the spot that feels good and maintainable. Um, Really didn't vision an agency. I had some people tell me I should make it an agency, and I was like, no, that's not for me. And got more clients, accidentally got too many clients, and I was like drowning. And so I was like, okay, I'll hire someone to help me a little bit. So I had a hire. A few months later, I realized I needed a second hire. A few months later, I had a third hire. And then by that point, I took a step back and I was like, oh, I need to restructure this. It's not working. It's overwhelming. Oh no, I think I made an agency. And that's kind of, we built from there. We now have a team of a little over 30 VAs, and we have a couple people on our core team. And yeah, it was
wow.
not my plan.
Well, very interesting. And I'm curious, for those business savvy listeners and
Yeah.
myself, did you start as an LLC as your own VA? Did that change? You're using the term agency. Did you become an S corp? Like, I'm just curious on the back end a little bit.
Yeah. I started as an LLC. I actually, interestingly, named it Alpine Virtual Assistants plural. So I guess even though I didn't intend it, my brain,
Uh-huh.
was like, we'll get there one day. And yeah, we're an S corp now.
Interesting. What was
Yeah.
the transition from one to the other like?
It was I learned what I preach to delegate. So I assigned most of that to my accountant and my bookkeeper, kind of worked together. They covered a lot of the pieces that I was scared I was going to mess up. They kind of talked me through how to not get in trouble with the IRS, how to do it correctly, how to set up a salary for yourself, all of that. It was really intimidating, but they kind of took all the hard work off, and I was able to just kind of fill in the gaps and do what they told me to do. Because no one wants to get in trouble with the
Oh
IRS.
yeah,
So,
for sure. Well, and I
yeah,
think it can be one of those things as, my experience and a lot of business owners that I've interviewed and fellow mompreneurs and friends, it's like you kind of get into this flow and then things start growing and going and you might not be what you once were. Now what
yeah,
are you, right? And catching up.
right.
And I love what you just said about essentially practicing what you preach and what a beautiful example with delegation for
Hmm.
yourself.
Yeah.
One of the things I've heard is if you find yourself, not wanting to do certain tasks because they're really not your strengths, those are the ones you want to find someone you can delegate. How
Hmm.
do you support people who are coming to you with a list of tasks they want to delegate? And that could be another thing that changes, right? Like you might love
Yeah.
those emails at the beginning and then later be like, I just can't get to this. How do you support
Yeah.
people in deciding what to delegate at the get-go and as it changes throughout time?
Yeah, it does definitely. I have seen it change over time. We recommend our clients before they start, they come and they've got this like beautiful list of things that they want to hand off. And I try to have a conversation when possible. We also have some resources we give them, some like delegation freebies. But I try to advise the clients to take some time and do what we call a time study. So really, it's a bit of a commitment for people who are, you're wanting to delegate, you're already overwhelmed, but we have found it's really worth it to just take some time and like get a clock. You can use like an app that runs in the background while you're on your computer or a time clock, whatever works, and really log what you're doing and how much time that's taking you. So then at the end, you've got of a week, maybe 2 weeks, you've got this list. You're able to actually see. I think a lot of times we have this idea in our head, like, oh, I'm spending so much time on my email, but maybe it's not as much as you think, or maybe you're like, I don't want help with Canva because I think I'm fine. I think I'm good at it and I'm scared to hand that off. But really, you're spending like 10 hours a week in Canva, whatever it is. Sometimes we have this idea in our head of where our time is going, but that's not the reality. So you can have this cold, hard evidence in front of you as to where your time is going. And then when you look at it, you kind of try to decide for yourself what is in what we call your zone of genius. It's from Gay Hendricks' book. So really, what is producing, what are things you're doing that someone else could be doing better or faster or cheaper while you work on the work that only you can do that keeps getting pushed to the bottom of the list? So then you have a much more clear idea of where you could be allocating your time. And instead of just kind of handing off the tasks you don't like, you have a more educated idea of these are the tasks that I need someone who can do them better than me, who could do them faster than me. And then I will focus on what's going to really move the revenue in my business. Yeah.
So good. So good. And I love a lot of your juicy tools, and I'm sure people can find them through the links we'll share in the show
Yes.
notes.
Hmm.
I remember when I first started working with you and looking at those and going through this process, and it's powerful. And I think
Yeah,
like right now it's kind of an interesting space. I was looking at some of your favorite talking points in terms of the paradox of doing it all, which is what often an entrepreneur is doing until they get to the point of a hire.
for
And
sure. Yeah.
I think one of the questions I have, which is most interesting right now and very on point in today's time, is about this AI thing. So,
Mm,
in your words, how
yes.
AI and authenticity can coexist in business. And also, as a follow-up question, is it a competitor for you
Mm,
or no?
yeah. That's a great question. AI has definitely I wouldn't say it's a competitor. I think it's a great tool that assistants can use. It
Mhm.
does take out some of those tasks that our assistants were doing that AI can handle. But those are tasks that I don't they aren't creating this big benefit for the clients. So we're okay with handing that off to AI.
Mhm.
So I see AI and authenticity, they're more partners than opposites. I think the fear that a lot of people have is that AI is going to make your business feel really cold or, inauthentic or robotic.
Yeah.
But when you use it the right way and pair it with someone I say AI needs a babysitter. So someone who's kind of managing your AI, it can make your business more authentic. It takes care of the repetitive and time-consuming tasks that are just draining energy, like, sorting CRMs or building out SOPs. And then it leaves space for the work that requires like humanity and creativity and empathy and leadership and relationships. So we were scared of AI when it first came out, or at least I was, because it felt a bit like a competitor. But then we kind of just started leaning into that balance. We're building AI and automation services at Alpine that help our clients be able to operate more efficiently, but also support the human side of the business, not just replace it. So it's just another tool in the assistant toolbox or in the business owner toolbox that helps them get their time back when used right, then it can make your business more thoughtful and authentic in the areas that matter most. It's kind of like an assistant. It frees up your time to do the heart and soul of what you want to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah.
And it's, the babysitter analogy obviously really lands with me because I have kids.
Yes.
Um, and I think the other piece of it is that kind of like babysitter for the babysitter or mother's helper or,
Yeah.
the space of communicating well, clear, concise communication as a boss to,
Hmm.
hey, listen, if you get the dishes done, you might get a tip. If you at least get the
Right.
kids fed and the house doesn't burn down, I'll pay you 15 an hour,
Right.
Um, but
Exactly.
I'd love to hear more about how you support people in communicating clear tasks and then how you track your employees in delivering said tasks communicated by your clients.
Sorry, could you repeat that beginning of that question?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just curious, like how you track the communication that your clients are giving to your VAs, sort of like the
Mm-hmm.
mom to the babysitter, right?
Sure.
And then the production of their work, like managing that. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah. Yeah, so our assistants, we only hire 1% of applicants. We do a lot of work up front to really make sure that they are able to take a task, run it to completion, and do well at their job. So we assign the client to the VA and we let them go off and just get started and get things done. Our VAs have this method that they've learned on how to begin the process with their client and really take it and go. We have a VA success coach on our team who then picks up with the VA, and we have an account manager who works then with the client. So if the client experiences anything concerning, maybe they need help learning how to delegate, or they have questions, is this normal? I need support with this, whatever that looks like, they've got their account manager there who can be there for them on the drop of a hat. And then our VA also, one has a community of VAs on our end where they're able to ask any questions if they maybe come across a task they haven't done before or a program that they're wanting to learn, whatever that looks like. They've got that community of VAs. And then they have their VA success coach, which they meet with quarterly, and they can also schedule time with as well to work out any kinks along the way. A virtual assistant's a broad term. It comes with a lot of tasks. One of the things I loved about being a VA is you learn something new every single day. So it's great to have someone in the weeds there with you, so you're not like working alone in an island. So we're there managing both sides. If there's anything that comes up, we kind of help take care of any issues. Obviously, we encourage the client to talk to the assistant, but there are times when they just need additional support from their account manager. And then likewise with the VA success coach.
Yeah, your VA success coach is so good. I almost feel
She's
like
phenomenal.
phenomenal. I almost
Yes.
feel like we need to go back to kind of the parent
Yes.
analogies here because it's a little
Yes.
bit like having a doula where it's someone who's
Yeah, it is.
there for you, in
Yes.
the birthing of, your business tasks and processes. So really, really powerful, my experience with that, especially when we had a little bit of a hiccup. And one
Yeah.
of the things that I think comes up for a lot of people working with VAs and working with people remotely in general is that you're not actually in the same space.
Definitely.
And I'm just curious, your experience, especially people first, with how to support others in that and, different things, tools, trackers, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
sometimes, and I heard an AI researcher talking about this today, that human margin where there's just something else happening, the nonverbal communication when you're actually in the room or
Yeah.
phone you hear in a voicemail, different things like that. I'd love to hear how you touch on that and think about that.
Yeah, we actually just got done right before this podcast with a little like Alpine Virtual Halloween party with all of our VAs. So we really try what we do. Well, internally, we have a lot of those touch points so that talking to us as a core team doesn't feel intimidating. Also, I just was like working from home can be lonely. So we try to have some avenues for some general like human connection with people who get it internally. And then with their clients, we try to encourage our clients as much as possible to maybe have a daily or weekly check-in, depending on how much work they're delegating and yeah, like if their assistant's only working a few hours a week, daily might be a little much, so it might be weekly. But it really helps your VA understand who you are as a person. I think that element gets missed a lot with delegation. A lot of people just want to give their tasks off to this person and have them completed. But they don't realize that they're missing the why behind. Like a VA needs to know this big picture. They get so excited when they see this is where my client is going and I'm a part of helping them get there, or why this task is important to the end goal.
Mm.
And then they also just get to know their client as a human being. And then there's so much more grace when there may be a misunderstanding with the client. Maybe an email comes off rude, but they already have this relationship with the client and they understand maybe they had a bad day. Maybe that doesn't sound like them. They probably didn't mean it. Anything like that. So building this relationship, which really can best be accomplished when you're virtual by weekly check-ins, by Zoom, phone call if necessary, is really vital to keep the buy-in there with you and your assistant. Otherwise, you've created more of someone who's just checking tasks off of a list instead of someone who's invested and proactive and really helping take you to the next step.
I love that. And I
Yeah,
think it gives it this sort of small town, family owned business feel, which is
totally.
really
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
So yeah, it really resonates with me, that experience. And you've kind of talked about this twice, but this idea of being alone in an island, whether you're the
hmm
VA or you're the business owner, we can have that experience, especially with a virtually based business where literally
Totally.
I'm alone in my office right now, but I'm
Yeah.
here with you, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I think the other side of that paradox is like I'm home with my animals, I can take a break and take a walk with them middle of the day, those incredible aspects. But the flip side, that paradox of the adventure of owning your own business and working from
Yes.
home, is that it can feel very alone. Could you
Yeah.
touch on that? And I love this idea of like balancing ambition with alignment and, the space of burnout and like how our face-to-face communication has just plummeted in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting because of all this beautiful technology. Would you just touch on that aloneness and some of the paradoxes connected to that?
Yeah, I found myself as an assistant and then as a business owner, especially in the beginning, feeling really alone. I was talking to people all day long, but I was emailing them, right? So it didn't feel like I was having an actual conversation. And as a mom with two young kids, so I did have kids, I had people around me, but it wasn't a lot of that mental adult like stimulation. And I think a lot of the problem for me came from focusing on on creating this big thing and growing it. And I felt like success for me as a founder of a company meant working like all of the time. It meant like pouring my heart and soul into it. I found so much of my self-worth. As I reflected on it later, it was really being put into what I was building and what I was growing. And so I wasn't taking the time to do anything that was an adult, like a human interaction. I was happy to spend hours on Canva, to be slaving away on emails and having all of this focus time. Um, I was just focused on productivity instead of building time in my day to network or to go and do something I love or to have a coffee with a friend, right? Like I started a business so that I could go do those things, but then I was too busy searching for like my joy and my meaning and my productivity and building and creating that I was just exhausted and I was just sad. And a lot of that was just that I had created this alone bubble in doing that. And I really had to take the time to learn that what I call play could mean like whatever to you as a person, whatever is play for you. But like true restorative play like really shapes your brain. It's the core of like your innovation and your creativity. And it really like helps when your brain is overheated, it helps it cool down and you can see things clearly again. And I was completely neglecting that just so that I could feel productive. And so, yeah, I don't work through breaks anymore or on weekends anymore. And we don't celebrate people who do here at Alpine because it's really not sustainable and it's so dangerous. You know, it leads to burnout and resentment and distance from the people that you actually love. And so it's really detrimental. So that's a paradox in itself, you know? So yeah, I kind of have started protecting rest and play as productivity because when I'm rested, I lead better. And when I lead better, then Alpine is going to grow in the right ways. So,
Amen.
yeah.
You're reminding me of a very interesting interview I had with a gal where she, her business was just booming, right? And she was
Mm,
really pumped about it. And actually, I've seen this theme and I kind of wonder about like postpartum hormones because statistically, stay-at-home moms with kids under the age of 5 are the most depressed, right?
it
Even though
makes
we've got
sense.
all these hormones and like
Yes.
amazing feelings and things going on, it's also like, oh my God, my life is about like diapers and like blending food and picking up messes and tantrums and fun and like,
Yeah.
it's like really like kindergarten,
Totally.
And I know the moms listening, you feel me. So I think like you've got that piece, and then we have this piece of like having play, having discipline around being an entrepreneur because that particular gal, she literally would put her kids to bed and she would stay awake all night working on her business.
Yeah.
And she eventually hit rock bottom and had like a breakdown, And I remember
Yeah.
when interviewing her being like, this is a really unusual story. And the more people I've interviewed, the more I'm like, actually, it's not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of women who are building these empires literally on no sleep, running on empty. Burnout is like it's almost like who's the busiest, who's the most burned out, who put in a
Right.
16,000-hour work week, like how is that
Yeah.
possible? Well, because AI is working for me and I'm delegating and like, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
and I think that coming back down, and this is something, I learned really early on because I also had animals and
Yeah.
animals require a lot of care. And so for me, starting to understand delegating certain tasks that although I may find them meditative, if I only have a few hours for play, my highest return on my investment of that time is getting out and riding my horses and connecting with them, not
Yeah.
sweeping manure,
Right.
And the other side of it is like with my children, yes, they need to eat, but my highest time with them is in like joy and play and fulfillment. And someone
Yeah.
else could maybe feed them lunch while I take a walk and catch up with a friend, or like, really starting to get disciplined about how we use our time, how we think about it, and then maintaining those boundaries, which I think successful
Yeah.
business owners, it's not a question of if you'll have to figure that out, it's a question of when, you
Yeah.
know. And then
Yeah.
there are kind of like dips and relapses where, right now I have a huge TEDx talk deadline and I'm like restructuring my day where I'm like, George, I pulled out the turkey burgers for you. I thought them. You're gonna have to cook dinner, baby, because I'm gonna be in work mode in the horse trailer.
Totally. Yeah.
I need a few hours for editing that I didn't even know that I would need today. I would love to hear you touch on this paradox of having it all, and also specifically for women. You kind of talked about building a business without losing yourself, but how about redefining success as a
Mm.
CEO, wife, and mom? And then
Yeah.
also, and we've touched on this a bit already, but the power of letting people help you.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so success has completely changed for me from when I started. Um, it's kind of like what I talked about before. I put a lot of my worth in what I was building and what I was making, and that was a big success for me. And because of that, I lost the ability to really pump the brakes. Downtime was wasted time. And now for me, success is having the time to do what I love, but then also creating a business that's really aligned with what my values are. So it no longer is how big is what I'm building, what's the revenue look like? It's like, does this business that I'm making, is it sustainable and does it align with my values, which I talked about before, is a lot of people-centered um, it's people centered, it's generous, and I want to make sure I'm able to build that all in one. So, yeah, a lot of times, for a long time, I was really chasing having it all, being the perfect CEO, looking like I had things together, both as a parent and as a CEO, which is impossible to do. I felt like the more I was pouring into my business, like then I'm a bad mom. And then when I was a great mom, I was a bad CEO. And so I was kind of like just trying to do both and it wasn't working at all. Um, so yeah, I just had to stop trying to be everything for everyone. It's just exhausting. So even though like I was achieving, I wasn't really present because as I said, my worth was tied to my productivity. So even though my business was thriving, I felt like I was disappearing in the process. So
Mm,
I had to let go of the version of myself that was always hustling and proving and replace it with someone who was allowed to like be peaceful and be creative and like be a human. So
mm.
yeah.
Such good medicine right there. And I know we all
Difficult
need to hear
medicine.
it. It
Yeah.
can be difficult. And I
Yeah.
wonder, as you're leading your people, and by people I mean specifically your VAs, your
Yeah.
full employees, how do you pass this original medicine down to them if they're struggling or maybe they're, working weekends or they're really stressing about their own productivity with the job? Like, how do you
Yeah.
work with your people on that?
Yeah, so from the beginning, when they go through our orientation, we make it very clear to them, like, here are the boundaries that we recommend for you. It's difficult as an assistant because your client has like this baby that they're trusting you with. And there are emergencies and there are times that you are just going to make something work for your client.
Mhm.
But we want those to be very few and very far between when you're working outside of business hours. So we recommend, like, hey, let your client know I'm available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or whatever it is that you have set up. And then, this is what you do if there's an emergency, and then define what an emergency is, because an emergency means different things to different people, especially
Yeah.
us who have kids know that. So define what that is and kind of you have to keep your boundaries from the beginning so that it's easier to keep your boundary, obviously, than to enforce it later. But then when a VA is struggling, that is also what we have our VA success coach there for. We try to lead with empathy first. So obviously, they need to be reminded that their worth is not tied to perfection or productivity. And that sometimes the healthiest thing that you can do for yourself and then for your clients is to slow down, to ask for help, to take a break, to reset. They matter just as much as what they are trying to get done. And so
Mhm.
Yeah, we're trying to build that culture at Alpine where honesty is really valued over appearances. If something's not working, like let's get in a group, let's get in a Slack huddle, let's talk about it. If a client relationship is feeling heavy, then let's problem solve that together.
Mhm.
They know that they can come to us. You know, we have been there. Amanda, Lisa, and myself, my core team, we have all been assistants, and Amanda and Elisa are assistants as well as doing their roles. So we've been there, we've experienced it, and we're more than willing to talk about it and talk honestly and have the hard conversations. But then also it just comes down to modeling it with our behavior. So
Yeah,
Amanda, Lisa, and myself, we have all had to stop responding after business hours, take time to log off, be with our kids, be with our families. Don't treat rest as a reward. It's just show up, be human, and give them permission to do the same. So ultimately, I think it comes from the top and needs to be bled down. If we're telling them, yeah, your productivity doesn't define you or make mean success for you, and then we are sending them emails all weekend or working all the time, obviously they're not going to believe what we're saying. So,
totally. Oh,
yeah,
it's so good. And I mean, it always comes down to when the leader gets better, everybody gets better.
exactly.
Right? So like modeling your expectations and being disciplined yourself and all of those things, right? And I love
Yes.
that mic drop. Like, don't earn your rest. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like so classic. And I think it also comes out of, and I'm not sure, what decade you were born in, but I've had a couple of really funny conversations about children of the 80s, some funny, some
Yeah.
not so funny, but like diet culture that we grew up with and like I earned this cupcake, because I
Right.
hiked the
Yes.
mountain, or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so it is really interesting. Okay, a little bit of a lightning round. I didn't know I was going to do this, but you have talked about a
Great.
couple of things that make me curious about what you're reading, like what your
Sure.
favorite books. You mentioned Gay Hendricks, The Zone of Genius. I'm wondering if there are any other books you find yourself going back to, recommending to clients, recommending to your employees. What are some of your faves in this space?
Yeah. So I just finished a book and I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's by Brene Brown. And let's see. I don't remember what it was called. So
You love
it
Brene
was
Brown while you're
it was a
looking.
great book.
Did you find it? Did you?
No. Let me
Okay.
see.
So for those who might not remember who Brene Brown is, she's very famous for bringing back Roosevelt's quote, "The credit goes to the one in the arena." She is
Yeah.
the vulnerability researcher. So Daring Greatly was one of her first books, Gifts of Imperfection. She did one more recently, like the Atlas of Emotions or something like that, or Atlas of a Big Heart or something like that.
Yeah.
She dives into different
I just
emotions, but so many good
read
ones. But what did you get out of it?
it
I want
was Dare to Lead is what I had
so
just
good.
read.
So good.
So, it was so good. What did I get out of it? I don't know. I wrote like 10 pages of notes. But it was a lot about being, her theme, being vulnerable and how to build this team culture that you're wanting to build. There was a lot about creating a culture that aligns with your values
Mm,
and creating what those values are that I found just to be really interesting, really helpful. Yeah, that's my most recent read. Gay Hendricks wrote a really good book that talked about, like I said, about the zone of genius, which has been really helpful with helping clients understand what to delegate and what to give off. Actually, Brene Brown's book had a little bit about delegation that I thought was really interesting too. But it's in my
mm.
10 pages of notes. I'd have to find what it is.
Well,
But
maybe we'll drop them in the
yeah.
show notes just for fun for people
Yeah,
to
sounds
find if
good.
they email you. So if you're not reading and you're sort of in that play, I know you like hiking.
Mm,
Is there another genre? Like, what's your like checkout where you're like, I am totally off the clock right now. Like, I
yeah.
in a different space. What is it for you?
Yeah, so I every day go on a 3 mile walk. We have a little trail right next to my house that I absolutely love. And right now it's fall, so the leaves are
Mm,
beautiful, the weather is perfect. That is my guaranteed every day I'm gonna do this. And most days I don't listen to anything. I'm just walking, I'm just enjoying nature, I'm checked out. My temptation was to make those productive, so I really had to fight that urge. Like I'm gonna listen to this really good audiobook that's gonna help me be a better leader. I'm still working, so I needed to like shut that off and just enjoy the walk. Sometimes I'll listen to a novel while I'm doing that. I also have recently really niche, nerdy hobby, have gotten into paint by numbers. And
Nice.
so it's a great way for my brain to just like check out and I just focus on like these little squares and I fill them in and it's a beautiful picture at the end. And I can listen to a novel or I can just completely shut off my brain and do it. And yeah, I really love both of those.
I love it. And I love you so much. And I know our audience is going to be like, tell us how to get a hold of you. Like, how do they find you? We'll have it all in the
Yeah,
show notes too. But if they're listening on their daily walk right now, where do
right.
you want them to go?
Yeah, so we are at alpinevirtual.com is where you can just learn more about us. And then we are frequently posting on Instagram, which is at Alpine Virtual. So it's simple.
Do you feel like we've missed anything? We've covered a lot in this
I
conversation.
think we've covered so much. I have been so happy to be on here. I don't think we missed anything. I was so happy to be invited. Just entrepreneurship really is an adventure in every sense of the word. So this is just the perfect place to talk about it. So I'm just so grateful to be here.
Absolutely. And ripe with paradoxes as
Yes,
well.
plenty
So
of options.
so many choices, start a podcast, write a book, lead a
Yeah,
webinar, what do I need a VA for? Email list, automation, all of those
all
things.
the things.
And I'm so grateful to our listeners. If you enjoyed this, please go look Nicole up. If you or someone you know might be in need of a VA, she offers an incredible service. I can personally recommend it.
Thank you.
And if you're thinking about starting a podcast, come and find us. How to get into the top 2% of all podcasts, and more juicy stuff coming with horses and the TEDx talk and all the good things that are at the Adventure Paradox podcast. But thank you so much for your time today, Nicole, and sharing
Yes,
your
thank
gifts.
you.
I just love chatting with you, and especially this people first leadership space. Congrats on that award and
Thank you so
just all the
much.
incredible work you're doing. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Hats off.
Thank you.
Meet again.